Welcome to He Say, She Say, the live stream where legal principles meet the heart. I'm Shar, founder of Law for Love, the most special place in the legal system in Atlanta. And after nearly 14 years as a divorce attorney, I realized that the very same tools that we use to end marriages can actually be used to save them. So I completely changed my path and now am here to help you navigate the challenges of love, commitment, and communication. Join us as we explore how to rebuild and strengthen your marriage one conversation at a time.
Peace and blessings, peace and blessings. So excited to have a very controversial conversation, and that is about prenups and postnups. So I will be asking throughout this time together, what are your thoughts? Is a prenuptial agreement a bad thing? Do we also understand the only difference between a prenup and a postnup is literally in the name? Pre is before, post is after. So after you're married, you can do the same exact thing you can do before marriage, which is a postnup. So what do y'all think? Good or bad? If you think that prenup or a postnup is a negative, something that really should not even be a part of a marriage before or after, will you please put a 1 in the comment? If you think it's a good thing, put a 2 in the comments. And if you really don't have an opinion, please put a 3. And I'd love to hear from y'all. What do you think? So, okay. So I'll interpret it depends as a 3. And you know, one thing I'm going to have to figure out how to do, I'm going to have to figure out how to kind of run the Facebook at the same time, because we are broadcasting to Facebook and I am learning how to do these things, but I'm going to have to kind of simultaneously do it. It looks like I might be broadcasting live to Facebook. I really don't even know. It says and video. I don't know. But to my Facebook folks, I will learn and figure out how to engage with you because I want to. I want to hear what you're saying. I want to hear what you're thinking. All right. So we have prenups and postnups are bad. If you have things, prenup is good for the first 5 years. Oh, that's an interesting approach. After 5 years, everything goes together. You know what? Hey, you're bringing some perspective that I hadn't even thought of, but I'm gonna give you the relationship contract expert spin on prenups and postnups. So every relationship, whether romantic or otherwise, all involve 100% across the board, all of the 4 elements of contracts: offer, acceptance, a meeting of the minds, and consideration. Consideration means give and take. It's just a fancy legal word for give and take. Every relationship. When we understand this, then we understand that the conversation about a prenup or a postnup is just about what are the terms of our contract. We mostly we mostly think of prenups as money. I keep my money, you keep yours. But a prenuptial agreement can be more comprehensive than just the money. A lot of times we need to be having conversations about all kinds of stuff that we're not having when we're all googly-eyed in love with butterflies in our stomach and just ready to have somebody to call our own. And so with that in mind, I do believe that a prenup is a great idea. I believe it's a great idea because if done correctly and if done comprehensively, more than just about the property and the money and the accounts and your Bitcoin. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a comprehensive discussion. Why? Because an offer is an idea, it's a proposal for your sweetheart to accept or reject, or maybe give you what we call a counter offer. Hey, I don't like that, but what about this? So there's a little, there's a little dancing here. And after you have an acceptance of what it is that the idea that we're agreeing on, because all a contract is what two or more people agree to do, agree to be, agree to have. Then the third thing, the meeting of the minds. Are we talking about the same thing? A comprehensive prenup or a postnuptial agreement for many people, unfortunately, because of romance, for many people, it's the first time that they're actually sitting down to do the business of figuring out if they're on the same page, of figuring out if they agree to the same things, of figuring out if they're both going in the same direction. Why wouldn't that be a good thing? Why wouldn't that be a good thing for your marriage? Why wouldn't that be a good thing for the marriage you're entering into? And if you've already been married, if you've already been on the journey together, when's the last time you've had, your annual corporate meeting to sit down and go through the terms of your relationship, of your marital corporation, and figure out, hey, how did we just perform for Q3 2024? Where do you project we should be going in Q4? And how do we want to start off Q1 2025? That is all a postnuptial is. Does that make sense? What do you think? Am I stretching it too far? Is it making sense? Do you see the potential for this actually being a relationship building activity? Why are people so afraid of postnups, prenups? Isn't that something that we've learned from the movies? I've often heard it said when a man who has worked hard in his career, he's accumulated wealth, he has property, he has assets, he has liquid cash, what have you. He meets the love of his life and he asks her if she's willing to sign a prenup, and she's mortified because she interprets it as, I love you, why would we need a prenup? But who created that interpretation of the prenup? Where did that interpretation come from? It's greed. She loves him. See, like a lot of times we read into someone's request that they feel a certain type of way towards us. But my job as a contract analyst is to take the feelings out. Let's talk about the facts. The facts are this. He wants to have a meeting of the minds about what he's bringing into the relationship and what you're bringing into the relationship, and how you both are going to treat the things you bring into the relationship. Can we reframe a prenup this way? I'm gonna have to blow up the comments. Well, so this is what I want to talk about here, Fataya, because who says it has to be a bad thing? And look, I'm gonna pick on the religious folks here. You're just setting yourself up for failure if you're talking about prenups and postnups. Why? Who said that? Doesn't the Bible not say, how can two walk together unless they be agreed? A prenup is an agreement. How can you walk together if you don't even have a conversation? You don't even have a full disclosure. Do you know how many divorces I have seen where neither spouse knows what the other person has? They don't have access to the bank account. They don't know what real estate or other financial asset holdings they have. They don't know how their money moves. They don't even know how much this person makes at their job. Do you know that not knowing and not disclosing is nearly 90% of divorces I've seen? So again, why would a prenup be bad? Why would a prenup be bad? Protecting his or her hard work, especially if marriage occurs after his or her success. Well, that's the point for again, from the standpoint of protect myself, protect yourself. What I'm offering here in terms of how we look at prenups and postnups, why does it have to be about protection? Why can't it just be an exercise of having a conversation that creates an opportunity for you both to be on the same page and have the meeting of the minds? Point 3 of contract law. Why can't it just be y'all getting on the same page? One of the things that grieves my soul, y'all know I'm a waterhead, I'm quick to cry. It grieves my soul about legal matters, contracts, things like that. There used to be a time where people would shake hands and they would exchange promises, and that would seal the deal. And now we're in a culture where you have to get everything in writing. Contracts can be hundreds of pages long, fine print, you name it, and it's all about protect yourself, protect yourself, protect yourself. But if the conversation is about we're going to live together, we're going to live together until one of us dies or we die together, we're going to take care of each other, and we're going to map out a destination to fulfill the dreams that we share. Who brought the conversation about protection in the first place? What is the source of that? This is what I'm digging at. Just protecting your hard work. People really don't want their spouse to know about. I'm telling you, ask any family lawyer. Just call up a random law firm and talk to any lawyer who does divorce. This is extremely common. I'm not making this up. I have seen so many corporate failures. That's what I call divorces here, corporate failures, where there has not been any kind of board meeting to discuss the treasury. Vice president doesn't know what the president has. President doesn't know what the vice president has. And there is no commingling. Very, very common in corporate failures. And it's heartbreaking, y'all. That's why I see a prenup or a postnup as a good thing. Well, maybe the meeting of the minds differ in values. Again, wouldn't that be a great opportunity to discover through the process of working on a prenup or a postnup together? Not just about the money. Y'all, please hear me when I talk about a prenup and when I talk about a postnup, I'm not just talking about money. You know what? In fact, I want to find the kind of when I say comprehensive agreement, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to let y'all see what I'm saying. Let me find it. Let me find it. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. When I say comprehensive, the kind of conversations you might want to have before you exchange promises, before you bind your life. I'm asking you to really take the words of contract law and think about them until they wake you up in the middle of the night. Like when I say bind yourself to, I'm talking about a bond that is intended to never be broken. So if you're going to bind your life to someone else's life, wouldn't you want to go through this process of figuring out if y'all even have the same values? What I'm saying and what I'm proposing to you for your consideration in this conversation is that a prenup or a postnup can create the perfect platform for getting on the same page. Um, Tonight, I also took Brother Red's recommendation to switch over to a different browser. The StreamYard was a little glitchy on Chrome, but I'm not having the same glitches on Firefox. So I'm having some new stuff I'm having to navigate. Okay, so I want to share with you the screen for the agreement. Okay, I'm having to do this stuff brand new. Thank you for bearing with me. So let's take a look at this. Comprehensive. Now, this is what I mean when I say comprehensive. I'm talking about a corporate formation, y'all. When did you start? Right? Codifying your anniversary. The name, y'all, especially with, some women come into a corporate partnership saying, hey, I'm going to keep my former name. And some men are not having that. This is a great time to have that conversation, not after you have got married and you wondering why she hasn't changed her name. I once I once worked with a couple who had been married 10 years. She was still carrying her maiden name. And I was asking her if she ever intended on changing her name to his name. And her excuse was that it was inconvenient for her to go through changing everything over and taking on his name. And the way that the conversation ended, she perceived that this topic was hurtful to her husband. And when she saw how hurtful it was, she was kind of dismissing it as like it was no big deal. But it was painful to him when she saw that her husband was actually hurting from the fact that 10 years she was still using her maiden name and not his name. She finally went and she changed her name. So from a prenuptial agreement standpoint, talking about the name of your corporation is a biggie, because all women are not trying to have their husband's name. Some men don't like the idea of hyphenation. Y'all need to get on the same page. Look, you love it, I like it. I'm not here to tell you what's right or wrong, but what I am here to say is that if you're not having a conversation, then it can become a point of pain for your partner. Does that make sense? There were a couple of comments I think I missed. I just want to try to catch up. People lie. That's why you wanna sit down and have a conversation. Have the conversation. I think it's the shared access and not meeting of the minds. Yes, do you really even have a marriage if you don't have a meeting of the minds on everything? That's really the question that I'm asking. It's marriage is like a journey where there's a constant revealing of who you are and who your husband or your wife is. And so there's always going to be a constant revealing. You're not going to hammer everything out in one episode of a corporate meeting like this, right? But it should be something that you think about and you work towards, because people not knowing about your little secret account or your little stash or whatever. And I know, and there's a big wise women wisdom out here. Always have you something on the side, because if you ever in a situation where he leaves you or you might need an emergency fund. You don't want to be left unable to leave or take care of yourself. And that is a very commonly shared advice given to women. So again, if you feel like you have to protect yourself, why are you in relationship? That's the bigger question for me. If you have to protect yourself, why are you in relationship? What else y'all had to say? You dropped your last name so quick. You were trying to distance yourself from the childhood trauma. you were ready to be on to the next episode. You know what? I had a real tough relationship with my maiden name. It wasn't even my father's name. It was my mother's maiden name, and it always bothered me. So I was eager to take on my husband's name as well. When did prenups become the thing now? I've never heard of this in Black communities decades ago. I mean, it's a good question. As far as I know, I can't really tell you when it became a thing. It's really not even something that you hear about a whole lot in Black relationships. And it's still not really a thing in terms of a trend that I notice in Black relationships. I'm bringing it up as a way to stage relationship contract negotiation, because as I'm going to continue to show you in this document, a prenup is not just about money. The number one thing I'm asking you to remember and to hold on to from this discussion, a prenup is not only about money. Every time we've heard it in the movies or on TV shows, it's always had a negative connotation and it's always focused on money, but it's not just the money. Do y'all know that even the place of your relationship, the place of business, I call in this partnership agreement, did you know that this is something you should not be assuming? There are couples who maintain separate households. Y'all do know that, right? You know that there are people who are happily married where he has his place and she has her place, and every night one of them goes to the other one. They live like this. Y'all do know that this is a thing. You know that you can't even assume that y'all are going to live in the same place, married. I can personally attest, the first year of my marriage, I lived in South Florida while my husband lived in Atlanta. There had to be a meeting of the minds about the place of business for our marriage, that we were going to be in a long distance marriage. There's so many things that it's easy to assume when you feel like y'all love each other and y'all are on the same page. But you should not assume any of these. You should not assume any of these. Here we talk about the vows and a statement in writing that this is a perpetual agreement. This agreement will never be broken unless the husband dies or the wife dies, or there's some other applicable biblical law why this agreement ends. Y'all, we come into relationships assuming these things, but did y'all talk about it? Because if you are on the romance track in your relationship, chances are you're so busy admiring how fine she is, and she's so busy admiring how good you make her feel, that you're not talking about these things. You're not having a meeting of the minds. See, the thing is that you're an academic, Patea. People really do not have these conversations. People really do not have these conversations. People come in with expectations. Why do you think corporate failures are happening? It's because of expectations that were never discussed. There was never a meeting of the minds. There was never an offer and acceptance. There was never an agreement. How can two walk together unless they agree? So this is just an example of the type of conversations we need to be having before and after marriage. Let's go on. Let's see what else we have from here. Excuse me. Did you have a conversation about the storms of life? Like, or are you assuming that if one of you falls ill or loses a job, that the other one's going to hold you down? Did you? Or did you just assume that's what you're supposed to do when you marry? Anytime you think in your mind, oh, well, that's what you're supposed to do. You're my husband. Oh, that's what you're supposed to do. No. There should be a conversation. This is a prenup. This is prenup language, y'all. We haven't even gotten the money yet. We on page 2, right? Storms of life. Have you talked about it? Have you had an understanding? Or are you assuming that this person gonna ride or die? Yes, people really do not discuss. Young minds and being fooled by the media. I wish it was only young folks, though. Brother Walt. I wish I could say this was only a young people phenomenon. I wish. Did you have a meeting with your sweetheart and come up with a shared mission, vision for your marriage? What is your dream? Here is my dream. How do our dreams coordinate, match, support one another? How can we create a mission statement together that's going to keep us going? Even when the storms hit us, we're going to be able to keep our eyes on the mission. Is this making sense, y'all? Why a prenuptial or a postnuptial meeting or discussion is important? Is this making sense? Give me a 1 if you see the bigger picture, that this is bigger than finances. Give me a 2 if I'm still not making sense to you. If I'm not making sense, if I am speaking another language, give me a 2. Age is just a number, Brother Walt, because y'all know I have a lot of respect for my elders, so I'm not going to talk too bad about, the stuff just because folks are older. Because here's the thing about older people. A lot of elders, particularly in the African American community or so-called African American community, a lot of what they were taught was just to figure it out, put on your big girl or your big boy pants, and just do what you got to do. Like, that's most of the training a lot of our elders have had, and not detailed conversations about preparing for life. It was more like sink or swim. It's more like, hey, life's not fair. Go figure it out and call on Jesus. That's what a lot of our elders have received as preparation for life. So no shade to our elders. And that's why for younger folks, I'm Generation X, Millennial, Gen Z. A lot of us are now coming into this place where we want to have these conversations. We want details. We want to figure this out. We want to heal from trauma. We want to talk about these things openly. We don't want to sweep them under the rug. We don't want the family skeletons to stay in the closet. We want knowledge and we want connection. And so we do this, and that's why I'm sharing my prenup with you. And this is also a postnup agreement. I'm sharing it with you so you can see it's more than just money. Yes, marriage is a business. So, okay, I'm glad I'm not losing y'all then, because we kind of started off, right, with this assumption that a prenup was about just the money. But look, here's another big one in marriage. Who is the treasurer? Who is the treasurer in your corporation? Why is that important? Because some people come into marriage with this mindset that, oh, well, the husband is the head of the family, so he needs to take care of the money. But guess what? The wife might be more skilled and gifted in that. And if he doesn't know how to write checks or balance the account, so he got y'all looking crazy with late payments and just losing assets because he doesn't have the financial literacy she has, then why can't she be the treasurer? So this is a conversation. There should be an offer. There should be an acceptance. There should be a meeting of the minds. There should be some give and take. If you're going to be the treasurer, then this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure I put my check in this account for us to take care of us. And here's the access to this account, and I have access to that account. That's the consideration. These are conversations, y'all, marriages are not having. We cannot assume that because people are married that they've actually had this conversation. Because in many marriages, again, corporate failures, he's paying for his stuff, she's paying for her stuff, and they figuring out how to split everything else down the middle, and nobody knows what's in the other one's account. I'm telling you what I've seen. So who's the treasurer? This is an opportunity for a meeting of the minds. Auntie said she is the treasurer. Thank you very much. No questions asked. She is not having it. Look, Auntie says, I hate debt and I'm not paying interest, so I will be the treasurer. Okay, got it. Yes, I agree. There should be shared access to everything. All kind of policies, all of that stuff. These are things y'all need to discuss. Y'all need to agree on. Y'all need to have some understanding, right? Yeah, Auntie. I had to, I had to take the opportunity to get on you. So, economic and tax arrangements. Hey, y'all, look. I know a lady who ended up divorcing her husband because he had child support problems that started jacking her taxes up. I'm just saying. Is there a meeting of the minds on how y'all gonna deal with taxes? Are y'all gonna file together? And if not, why not? Because if he got stuff going on where people looking for him, like the child support man, or one of y'all got some judgments or something that have not been collected, this is a conversation you need to be having with this person that you plan on sharing life with. Because the last thing they want to do is find out about your garnishment after y'all have already gotten married. I'll just tell y'all what I see out here in these streets. Well, you know what? It doesn't make you weird. It just makes you intentional about your partnership. These are the things we should be talking about. I built this agreement directly from things that I have seen go real, real wrong. Partnership percentage share. Look, y'all. Let's have a conversation about, this is the financial part. Are we bringing everything in and making it one and we both have an equal share to it? Or is our ownership share of our partnership based on what you brought in? And I think that's a fair conversation. Look, if you're dealing with somebody who's getting married after they've started their career, they've amassed what they've amassed, whatever it is. I wouldn't even put a dollar amount on it. And they're getting married to someone who's kind of just getting financially started, or maybe is on a rebound from bankruptcy or some poor, financial literacy type situation. This is very, very fair. Do I keep what I bring in and you keep what you brought in? in the event something goes way left. And this isn't saying that you're setting yourself up for failure, but it does document a respect for what y'all brought into the marriage. And a lot of people feel like, I don't want to be taken advantage of. What if someone is really just looking at what you have and what they can gain from you? Again, not to sow doubt and not to put you in a position to protect yourself, but it's a fair discussion. And whatever y'all agree to, that becomes the law of your relationship. It becomes your relationship contract. Contract law is the most powerful law in the universe. Again, these are some other financial conversations that you have with your sweetheart. Maintenance of capital accounts. Capital accounts are your bank accounts. Going back to Fataya's comment about having discussions about access. Where is stuff? Where can we find stuff? Where can we both see stuff? Where can we both get into stuff? That's the conversation about the maintenance of your capital accounts, your financial accounts, your life insurance policies, your other insurance documents. Where do we keep them? Where are they safe kept? Who is the custodian, or what the company that we call? What's the phone number? Whatever it is, you both should know and have access to. Check in on this stuff once a year at least. I just wanted to bring a different perspective to prenup, because prenups get a bad rap, y'all. Prenups get a really bad rap. I'm sorry, but going through a prenup, if you haven't gotten married yet, or using this exercise as a postnup, if you're already married, it has so much potential to build connection and understanding in your relationship. Yes, there's going to be stuff y'all don't agree to. And confrontation and conflict is an opportunity for intimacy. We have such a distorted perspective of things that are actually good for us. So I have all this corporate language in here because I want to illustrate for you this type of so this is the one that had me tickled. Savings. The reason why savings is in this agreement is because, y'all, one thing that I see, I'll say 9 out of 10 times in all marriages, is that a person who is a saver tends to somehow attract a person who is a shopper, a spender. It's just, it's hilarious. It's like the comedy of the universe to me. And there should be a conversation where y'all are talking about who was the saver and who was the shopper, because this issue will arise. And for those of you who are already married, you already know that this is how it goes. So, how are y'all going to figure out how much of the pot is available for spending? Oh, I go into details, y'all. I'm not playing with this, because these are opportunities to build intimacy. It's work. Your marriage is work. Why do we always call marriage hard work, but then we don't look at these kind of details? Well, these are the details that make it hard when we don't talk about it. It's harder to not talk about it and just be fighting and not talking to each other because you didn't talk about it. Better to talk about it, have your disagreement, take your time out if you need to. Look, 10-minute break, this getting heated. I'm feeling triggered. Walk away. Maybe we need to schedule this for another day. This is not an activity for one day. It's not. In fact, I would say this activity should take you anywhere from 3 to 6 months to work through, to make sure y'all are on the same page. And I promise you, you'll feel more connected going through this process. Management. decisions that need to be made, the powers that you both have. Look, this is corporation of marriage and all of the details to get on the same page. There's some other goodies in here. Saver versus spender. Yes, 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 yes. That one right there would have people blood pressure like going real bad. And it almost always happens this way. You fall in love with Mr. Wonderful or the perfect woman, and y'all are the exact opposite with your money management. It is hilarious. It's hilarious. If you are already in this marital arrangement, you're the saver, you're married to the spender. I'm gonna tell you right now, just start laughing. Like this is actually like how it works. Laugh so you don't cry. It's like a law of nature, some kind of way. But y'all can get on the same page. So that's the good thing about it. You can get on the same page. You can. You just got to work through all of the other details together. You got to have a meeting of the minds on the particulars. Particulars is the word we've come to love from working with our counterparts over in Africa. The particulars. In our relationships, we need to be discussing the particulars. You need to be scheduling. How often are you going to meet? Here, my recommended corporate annual meeting is once a year to take a look at your partnership agreement. How's it working? How where can you continue to work on things being better? How do you project your growth? Hey, special meetings. This is something that happens in corporations. Sometimes a situation is such that you need to call a special meeting of the board of trustees in your marriage. And this is perfectly fine. A lot of times we want to handle the business of marriage, in the middle of the kitchen, unplanned, unscheduled, and in a heated conversation. But imagine if we're more intentional about those meetings, saying, hey, is now a good time for you to talk about this, that, or the third? No, not right now. Okay, so when will be a good time for you? And set a special meeting so that both of you come in ready, mindset, prepared to discuss the business of the special meeting. Why are we not more intentional about that in our relationships? Love is supposed to just save the day without us making any effort? No, I'm sorry. You're going to have to miss me with that one. Voting rights. We go into it, right? And talk about how y'all are going to split up some decisions. Okay, you can pre-plan for your disagreements and the kind of special meetings y'all need to call. And for each thing that y'all discuss, y'all both initial. And here's the thing too. Here's the reason for initialing it and putting it in a document. Again, I want to demystify prenups and postnups. Like, they're not bad, because what this does is a lot of marriages are struggling because there's no accountability. Here is accountability. Hey, here's where we talked about this. This is what you agreed to. Can we have a meeting? We're more respectful about disagreement and working through problems at work than we are with working through problems with the one who's the closest to us. Why do we do that? Why? Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. You need to talk about these particulars. I mean, if nobody taught us anything else, Donald Trump taught us how fickle your relationship is because of politics and religion. Yes, the particulars can and should include religion, how you practice religion, political affiliations. Look, I'm like this. Put on their medical treatments too. Y'all know how many people fell out over the 2020 stuff? I can't really talk about it directly, but a lot of people fell out over that mess in their marriages. Families fell apart over politics and over pandemics. So yes, you can absolutely safeguard what you're doing. You're not protecting yourself, you're protecting your relationship contract. You're protecting the integrity of your relationship with these conversations, with this type of document. Julie getting yelled at. Yes. Why are you still down here? So I got some more corporate language in here, y'all. A lot of it is intended to make you giggle, but have you talking at the same time. Conversation pieces. Look, we talk about death. We talk about death when we're setting up partnership agreements, corporations. Why are we not talking about it in our marriages? Why are people married to folk that they haven't had conversations with about their final arrangements and the kind of funeral that they want? Do y'all know people don't know if something happened to their husband or their wife today, how they would pay for the funeral or what their spouse's final? Do y'all know that people are married like this? Never had the conversation? Can you tell it bothers me? I should know what your final wishes are. I should know how I'm going to pay for your final expenses. So we walk you through here to have those conversations. Again, this is a prenup or a postnup. They are really the same thing. The only difference is the timing. One is before you marry, one is after you marry. This is one of my favorite terms, mediation. And the reason why is because I'm going to tell y'all something. I learned so much in my legal practice, but some of the most powerful lessons I learned were actually had nothing to do with the legal system, and it had more to do with what I noticed about certain communities and how they preserved the sanctity and the dignity of their most intimate spaces. I had a colleague who was from another culture. I won't say specifically because people who know us would know who I'm speaking about, but in her community, it is commonplace that if there's a heated dispute between a husband and a wife in their community, that they go to the elders with the matter. And they take it before the elders, having already agreed that what the elders recommend will be the best for their marriage. I have seen in other cultures, they don't even use the American judicial system, not even for divorces, y'all. They go to someone in their religious structure, their religious community, to help them figure it out. And you don't even see these people in the state's court. We would do better to understand that mediation is not something that happens only after someone files a lawsuit. Mediation can happen anytime two or more agree. And anyone who has some sense, some wisdom, and some discretion can help mediate things that y'all haven't been able to figure out on your own. And that is why I put that as a term in here, because we can learn so much. I gained so much respect for these cultures who have protected families from the public humiliation of court because of the private mediation system within their community. Oh, you asked me a question? Daughter of Zion, you asked me a question. I'm trying to find your question, sis. I must have been on a rant. I'm sorry, y'all. That's why at one time I was trying to get y'all to call me to get my attention because I can hear. Are you going to have the PDF in the description box by any chance? You know what I'll do? I'm going to give this away to you all. It is a product that Law for Love sells, but I will give this away. Thank you for asking. So if you will check back in by this time tomorrow, it will be available for a free download. Great question. Oh, we're going to talk about this because estate planning, just like with the prenup or the postnup, estate planning is another way that we create a focal point to build connection in marriages. And yes, the estate plan is something that I do plan on going into. I do recognize that estate planning is a little more complicated and difficult for people who don't have children or for people who are not married or don't have children. And I'd love to have that conversation. I was already thinking that, so I'm glad you mentioned it. But yes, I do plan on doing that. The same way we're kind of talking about the prenup and the postnup, I wanted to discuss, and I will be discussing estate planning for relationship building. I'm calling it Legacy for Love. So yes, we'll talk about it in a future episode. Okay, we got that for you. Y'all know, just take me a time to see what I'm seeing sometimes. All right, cool. Yeah. And I love your feedback, how your conversation's going with your marriage building exercise using this tool. I'd love to hear how those conversations are going. So, and then y'all both sign it because this is serious business. So, I'm super big. Anyone who works with me knows that I'm big on talking about your dream. I believe that your dream is a thing that lives beyond you. Your dream is the place where you focus when life gets hard and hits you with hurricanes. Your dream keeps you going. And so talking about your shared dream as a couple and making it a part of your agreement is powerful. It's powerful, y'all. Here is the financial disclosure. Again, I'm going through all of these different categories of assets for y'all to have the conversation and for y'all to show each other your cards. You know, it's amazing. Like, okay, y'all could get naked and do the nasty, but y'all can't show each other your finances. Like, make that make sense. You could get physically naked, but you can't get financially naked with your husband or your wife. Make that make sense. I'll wait. Hey, welcome back, Mr. UK Arsenal. I hope you saw I kept my promise to you that time. Did you see my episode about the swirl? These are all of the different categories of finances. Full disclosure with your sweetheart. Talk about it. Go through this. Share with each other. Talk about your expenses. There are husbands and wives out here who have no idea what their husband or what their wife is paying for every month. Make that make sense. Y'all doing the hokey pokey, but y'all don't know what's going on with the money. Make that make sense. It makes no sense. And again, this exercise, this is not for one day. This is not even for 1 month. On average, it could take 3 to 6 months for y'all to have a meeting of the minds on all of these topics. just make the time to work on it, to talk about all these different categories of expenses and how y'all plan on sharing these things. Instead of you pay your bills and I pay my bills. That's not cool. Those are the ones that I see most often in corporate failure. It is rare to see a corporate failure with full financial disclosure. I am so serious. And that really kind of goes to like that scripture that says where your treasure is, that's where your heart is. Like that money says a lot about what's important to you. So if your husband is important to you, he should see your money. If your wife is important to you, she should see your money. Why is this thing so secret amongst people who have promised and exchanged vows to be together for the rest of their life? That makes no sense. It makes no logic. That math is not mathing. We have a schedule in here for your total monthly cash flow. When you take the time to do this, especially those of us who are struggling with fiscal responsibility, y'all, let me tell y'all the funniest thing about becoming a lawyer. A lot of lawyers went to law school because we didn't really want to work in professions where we had to deal with a lot of math. In family law, it was my first year of practice. Going through bank statements that I realized that I did not escape math by choosing law as a profession. I have learned more about cash flow and asset management through the practice of law. It's not even funny. And these are really great tools to map things out in a conversation and get an understanding. Cash flow is a very, very important thing for you to understand as basic financial literacy. So I have these schedules in here to support you. For the money, it comes down to that there isn't any education on it. I'll agree with that. Most families don't talk about it or how it works, and school isn't a help either. I would agree with that. I remember my son, he has his master's in business administration. And one of the things that he expressed a lot of frustration about was the lack of financial literacy that's provided in primary and secondary school, and wanting to have more conversations with Gen Zs and millennials about money, conversations that I, as his mom, never had with him because I didn't know either, right? So yes, it does begin with education, y'all. And again, these schedules are very, very intentional. These schedules will help and support you in having conversations and mapping your finances. UK Arsenal. Only 26% of Black women marry. That might be true. You had some other percentage in here. You said that Black women, I saw it. Oh, here it is. Black women don't believe in real 50-50. I would ask you to qualify that, sir. Define what real 50-50 is, and I'd love to have that conversation. Maybe we can make that a topic for another show. And again, I don't know if you joined us at the beginning. We're talking about prenups and postnups, and my position is that it's a fair conversation that if one side is bringing in more of a capital contribution into the marriage than the other person, that it is a fair conversation to have about sharing your partnership along the lines of what you brought into it. And whatever y'all agree to is what y'all agree to. That becomes the law of your relationship. I am not an automatic 50-50 down the middle kind of person, because I've seen all varieties of family finances and how people get married and what they bring in. I'm just here to demystify the conversation that prenuptials are a bad thing. They are not bad. And I would hope that I've proven my case tonight by going through a comprehensive prenup, postnup agreement, that these are very, very necessary conversations everyone should be having with someone that they want to spend their life with. Exhibit C. Okay, so these are some other conversation starters that I put in here for you, just to stage some discussions, y'all. Talking about, let me tell y'all something. I'm gonna tell y'all something right now. I used to be mad at my mom because she gave me a ghetto middle name that didn't match my first name. But I forgave her for that and I embraced my middle name. I really have. But I am not happy that she did not prepare me for this particular conversation. So, any person who has not been married, any younger person, any person who thinks that they want to be married, I'm going to tell you right now, please have a conversation about whether or not y'all are on the same time zone. I don't care how fine he is. I don't care how beautiful she is. This topic of your life clock and whether or not you're an early bird or a night owl, it has the power of creating painful conflict in your marriage. And that is the one thing that now that I've forgiven my mother about my names not matching, I wish she had this conversation with me. And now I am going to scream it from the mountaintop. If you're already married, it's too late. Figure it out. If you're not married, you need to talk about your clock. It will make a difference in your relationship. Morning expectations. How y'all are going to get take care of things around the house. Oh, check-ins, daily check-ins. Look, some relationships have unspoken expectation. Hey, call me when you get to work, or call me when you get where you're going, or send me a text. I want to know you're okay. Did y'all talk about it? Did y'all have a conversation about it? What's for dinner is a big thing. Every day is dinner time, right? But who's going to be the one responsible for dinner? Is it something that y'all just going to figure out as y'all go? Is one person going to be responsible for like whatever you pick? That's what we'll eat. This is a conversation, y'all. I'm telling y'all, people blow up and fight or shut down over these topics. They seem trivial when you're looking at it from the standpoint of this conversation. But again, I'm exposing the underbelly of what people are experiencing pain around these topics. And that's why I have them listed here. Who's responsible for grocery shopping? Because that's not automatically the wife. I say that because I often talk about having to renegotiate my relationship contract to ask my husband, like, well, who made me the designated chef and designated chef and shopper? And my husband honestly believed that I enjoyed those things, and I don't like it. And so we shifted the responsibility for us to be a little more equitable in our household, given the fact that I don't love cooking and I don't like shopping. It's a very important conversation to have. Responsibility for other meal planning. Bath and bedtime for the kids. Y'all, I'm showing you the underbelly of stuff that creates fights. Some parents don't believe in bedtime. Other parents are strict when it comes to bedtime. Did y'all have a conversation about it? I'm just trying to, let me see. What you say here? Black women 50-50 is really 20, if that. That could be the case. I'd love for you to come and substantiate your numbers one day. Fataya's a night owl, and her husband's a morning lark. And he had to learn how to deal. Look, it's rough on him, man. It's rough on. I'm a morning lark. I feel his pain. I feel his pain, Sister Fataya. This is a conversation you need to have. You need to have an understanding that if y'all on two different time zones, that's a challenge in marriage. It is a challenge. Look, it looked like it's no big deal when you got the little, You got the little twinkle in your eye and the little butterflies in your stomach. You can't stand not being with this person. You love them so much. Okay. Please have a conversation about it, because when the day comes that you realize how challenging those differences may be on your relationship, you're not going to be in a position to have to complain about it because your husband or your wife to be told you and disclosed to you, hey, I'm really a night owl. Hey, I'm really an early riser. And y'all are going to have to come up with a plan for the times that you overlap in space, how y'all going to spend that time together, because you can't make somebody change their clock. You will not do it. It is a very, very important discussion to have. I am so glad that your wife is down with the kitchen, bruh. Because we're not all wired like that. So, my thing is, let me tell you, I was traumatized when I married a man who didn't cook, because my dad was the one who cooked. My dad cooked every day. All my mom had to do was come home from work, shower and change, and slide into a plate. My daddy had her like that. I marry a man who didn't cook, and I'm like confused. My dad was the cook in my house. What do you mean you don't cook? So hats off to y'all. Hey, if y'all ever want to have Shar over for dinner, I do work for food. I'm just saying, I like oxtails and rice and peas and mac and cheese. Um, let's see. The morning is for him, the night is for me. And you know what? That's another very important topic for your relationship. You need to have some time, your quiet time. Like, when do you get to reflect? When do you get to be quiet? When, for me, that's what I've learned. Like, the morning, I own the morning. Like, while all y'all sleep, I'm in here doing me. I'm connecting, I'm meditating, I'm writing in my journal, I'm setting the course of my day when the house is quiet. Y'all need time alone to like connect with yourself. A conversation to have. Conversations about housekeeping. Please don't assume that everybody is going to share in washing dishes every day. Or cleaning the bathroom as often as you need to clean the bathroom, or you expect the bathroom to be clean, because these are conversations that y'all need to be having and getting on the same page, so you're not becoming this is protecting your relationship from resentment, because resentment is going to happen when you have an expectation that has not been spoken and is not being met. And that is the purpose for this agreement, this conversation starter, and for y'all to get on the same page about some stuff. Regular family meetings. I have grown to be a really, really big fan of family meetings. Proud to announce that 87 weeks. We just did our 87th week of weekly family meetings. We have an entire framework and structure for it. We've gotten to understand each other more as a family, how to respect, honor, and love one another, including our child, and checking in with each other every week. We've been doing it now for 87 weeks. I highly recommend it. It is a very high level of intentionality to show up with your family and to hold your family accountable and yourself accountable for how you're loving and respecting each other. Agreements about screen time for the kids, because I'm telling you. And how are y'all going to share dreams with each other? Some people don't care about your dreams. Do y'all have the same values when it comes to dreams? When is your preferred alone time? I've heard it said, I forget the preacher's name. There was a preacher who had once shared publicly that he and his wife, they had scheduled time for sexual intercourse. Is that how y'all want to do it? Do y'all want to be spontaneous? Who should initiate? Oh, that's another one, y'all. We'll probably have to have a whole separate conversation about that, because for whatever reason, there's not always an understanding between men and women about the topic of initiation. But that's something that y'all should be talking about. Who should initiate? Issues concerning the children, raising them up. Issues about community engagement. Here's the big, like I'm flashing a signal here for you men. This is a big one for women. We need community. We need connection. We need other families. We are wired for community. And we need to be away from the TV and in the world of feeling and touching and connecting with other lives. So there should be some conversations here because, again, speaking from what I've seen and witnessed and observed in corporate failures, there has been a lot of isolation in marriages that are not making it. And that community piece is a big one that seems to be lost on our more technological and modern, so-called modern society. Expectations management and accountability. So talk about the 3 things that make you feel valued and the 3 things, 3 things, keep it to 3. 3 is a beautiful number for setting expectations and having conversations to agree upon. Thank you for, yes, 87 weeks of family meetings. Yes. And look, full disclosure, sometimes I call myself getting an attitude and I be like, I don't want to meet this week because I'm mad before the meeting. But look, by the grace of the Most High, we have stayed on track mostly and have rarely missed a meeting due to just out of the ordinary kind of stuff. But thank you so much. I appreciate that. What's this about 50-50, Brother Walt? Just because you talk about it doesn't mean they adhere to it. Great point, Brother Red. But the starting point is to agree. Because you see the section right here, I'm talking about expectation management and accountability. That is the point of having this here. And when I do deep work with families, we talk about what accountability looks like. Sometimes accountability isn't happening because there hasn't been an agreement that I'm willing to be accountable to you. You need to know that before you marry somebody. And if you're already married, then yes, you need to have a system of accountability in your relationship. And you need to talk about what that's going to look like and give your husband or your wife permission to confront you when you are not keeping up on things that you promised to do. So I agree. Yes, this is a conversation. This is a conversation starter. This is an agreement builder, but you protect your agreement by your willingness to be accountable to the things that you agreed to. 50-50 on the. So is that hey, I think we need to have a separate episode about it because I can easily see this becoming like a little, we will need to build some understanding around that. Is it a hard and fast rule that she should initiate half the time? He should initiate half. Like, why do we even have to talk about initiation? Because there are expectations and everybody wants to feel desired, right? That's a whole nother episode. A whole nother episode. Yes, go touch grass and spend time with each other. Housework is work you should get paid for. I'm gonna tell y'all something, and it's no secret. Right now, I'm working on figuring out a way of having me somebody else I pay to do that because it's other stuff that I want to be doing. Like I could be creating job opportunities for someone else to help me help them, right? So you should be paid for housework, and I want to pay somebody else to do mine. So I'm just being very honest. So yeah, talk about your 3 things. So that look, we had the conversation. I told you about the things that make me feel valuable. I told you about the things that make me feel respected. have these conversations, meet and check in, hold each other accountable with those weekly meetings. That's what we do at my house. And it has made a world of difference in the temperature of my home. So I hope that I have completely turned the conversation of prenups and postnups on its head, that you came in here with a certain kind of mindset or understanding what a prenup and postnup is. My goal was to flip the script and completely reframe it so that you can see what a beautiful opportunity this is to build agreement. Agreement is how we walk together. Agreement is how we love each other. Agreement is how we feel connected and we learn how to trust each other. Agreement is what we turn to when the storms hit our marriage and we have something that we can look forward to, like this person and I are on the same page. We have already agreed we're going to make it through this storm together. It is a level of intentionality that will build your friendship. And yes, it will create some tension, some of these topics. And other things you're going to figure out how to laugh about. And then you're going to be able to poke fun at one another about how ridiculous the argument was over one of these topics. Have fun with it. But do, yes, take it very, very seriously. And so I do think I got all the comments. That's what I'm saying, Sister Fatea. Like, you speaking my love language. you're speaking my love language. Like, I need someone on staff. And so there was like this little conversation that we had about now my son is knocking on the door. Like, it's just like almost like, oh, she's not doing a live stream. Like, that's really how my family's moving tonight. So when we meet on Sunday, I'm gonna have something to say about this disruption to my live stream. Like, he's knocking at the door right now, my son, who went to the gym with his dad. So anyway, I lost my train of thought. Have fun with it, take it seriously, build connection, have your weekly check-in and accountability around the agreement you build with each other, because it does bring a sense of belonging, a value, of respect when you're able to hold each other accountable. And these things can always be tweaked and modified as you go along. Contracts are living documents. They can always be revised. And UK Arsenal, hey, I'd love to hear from you. I wouldn't mind for you to send me an email over at support@lawforlove.com, where we can connect and maybe schedule a talk about some of the comments that you made. I'd love to hear your perspective, but I think I'm going to ask you to substantiate your claims, right? Because you coming into a Black woman's live going in on my sisters. So let's talk about it. So at any rate, y'all, I love you. And please like, share, subscribe. Help us do the work of reaching more families, doing more of the good work, using the power of law with love. And with that, have a wonderful evening.